A mighty movement reaching the big cities, business setup, budget, revenues, and expenses. A Mighty Movement, Medical Ministry, page 304, and we have attached the link for your perusal. There is no change in the messages that God has sent in the past. The work in the cities is the essential work for this time. When the cities are worked as God would have them, the result will be the setting in operation of a mighty movement such as we have not yet witnessed. God calls for self-sacrificing men and women converted to the truth to let their light shine forth in clear, distinct rays. Go Forward, Medical Ministry, pages 304 and 306. The principles of health reform are to be promulgated as a part of the work in these cities. The voice of the third angel's message is to be heard with power. Let the teachings of health reform be brought into every effort made to get the light of truth before the people. Let workers be selected who are qualified to teach the truth wisely in clear, simple lines. Let us not wait before beginning this work until all the way is made clear. Faith says, move forward. Christ says, lo, I am with you always, even unto the end of the world. Go on step by step, departing not from that spirit of sanctification through the truth which the presence of the Spirit of God and obedience to the truth will give. God has declared that sanitariums or health centers and hygienic restaurants should be established for the purpose of making known to the world His law. The closing of our restaurants on the Sabbath is to be a witness that there is a people who will not, for worldly gain or to please people, disregard God's holy rest day. These restaurants are to be established in our cities to bring the truth before many who are engrossed in the business and pleasure of this world. Table of Contents, Setting Up a Business, Avoiding Debts, Strategic Planning, Setup Cost, Bookkeeping, Revenues and Expenses, Overhead and Markup. This is the overall plan to set up a business to do the gospel medical missionary work. A vegan restaurant, especially to attract those who appreciate vegan food or want to become vegan. For those who suffer from diseases and who need a change of lifestyle, and people wanting Bible studies, weekend conference, and seminars. To it can be attached a conference room in order to be used by groups for seminars, Bible studies, or children programs, and a small treatment room, especially in the city, to use for trainees, massage, hydrotherapy classes, treatments, and small gatherings. In the country, you want a little center to receive clients, agents, trainees, and basic country living in order to teach gardening and small industries. And attached to it could be a garden or greenhouse in order to obtain some produces that you can sell at the restaurant or at the farmer markets. That's another way of having some extra money, and then you can continue your project. Avoiding Debts, Medical Ministry, page 306. To the managers of all our sanitariums or health centers, I would say, let no large debts be created. Make no unnecessary move. Set aside your desire for full equipment at once. Let the best possible use be made of fewer facilities rather than to increase debt. All that is needed may in time be obtained, but all the furnishings and facilities need not be provided at once. Let reason, calm thought, and wise calculation be the rule of action. If success attends our institutions established for the care of the sick, it will be because the managers have preferred to get along with the most essential things rather than to pile up debts. The Lord calls upon us to do a work in many places. We shall have sanitariums, health centers that can be carried on without involving our cause heavily in debt. And we also can apply this for vegan restaurants and small health centers in the city. Avoid debts. Strategic planning. We have already submitted a plan of action that you can follow and adapt for every nation. We just want to remind you of our motto for strategic goals and mission outreach: SMART, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant to the mission, timely. According to Councils on Health, page 506, it would seem that we have reached this time. As religious aggression subverts the liberties of our nation, those who would stand for freedom of conscience will be placed in unfavorable positions. For their own sake, they should, while they have opportunity, become intelligent in regard to disease, its causes, prevention, and cure. And those who do so will find a field of labor anywhere. In order to start a business, you need to calculate your cost, how much it will cost you to start this business. And this is talking about different details that you would want to put together depending of your country. Like in Canada, before we can even start the business, we need to apply for a municipal licensing, first year license fee, food handler certificate, business name registration, and having a police checkup. So all that can climb up to close to $900. We're already at $858.56. And we have not even started yet the business. Then we have other things that we have to do when we lease the place, or if you purchase, it's going to be more expensive. But according to the spirit of prophecy, we are to lease in the city and buy in the country. So here in this case, this is not calculating necessarily the rent here or anything. It's basically the setup cost. Plumbing labor, painting labor, and then the furniture, depending what kind of a furniture you want, and then the electric appliances, the dishes, the accessories that you would need, as well as an outside signs. Altogether, when you calculate all these costs to set up this it was a small vegan cafe, it came up to $7,213.29. Of course, this is Canadian currency, and you can go much higher than that to set up some programs. But we're always having this philosophy that we do not want to incur any debts. And when we start a program, we make sure that we always come up with the money to be able to pay. We do not buy on credit. So we recommend that you follow the advice of the spirit of prophecy to avoid debts, and you can start very small. This would be considered very small here in Canada. And comparing it to other countries, we cannot, because some countries, I know you can bypass all this, which will save you a lot of money, and you can get started with finding a place and organizing it with furniture and setting it up and get ready to go. If you are opening, we're hoping that you open up only vegan restaurant, no meat, no cheese, no eggs, no milk. This will make it much less expensive to set up because you don't need all kind of fancy appliances to be able to start your work. So this is just an example. We're not telling you how much you have to pay because we are not dealing with every country in particular. We're simply showing you here where to start when you want to start your business. Bookkeeping. This is an Excel sheet that has been transformed into a PDF format for you to see as we use Excel, or you could use any other bookkeeping app that can be downloaded online for free. And this is a page showing the expenses for the restaurant and the health center of Way of Life. And this is just a given year. We just took some numbers here to show you. And Way of Life runs the fiscal year until the 31st of October. So really it's from the 1st of November to the 31st of October every year as you start. So here what we want to show you is a description that is very important to break down. And these columns, they all come from receipt that we have kept the whole month along the way. And every month we make sure to do our bookkeeping, or every 2 weeks, whatever you prefer, every week. Don't wait too long to do your bookkeeping, because you do not want to wait until the end of the year to start catching up. It takes quite a long time to upkeep. So here again, this is based on Canadian numbers and Canadian taxes and all this, but we just want to show you how a bookkeeping should look like. This is a sheet. That's how it's prepared. In this case, we're carrying the food, the wares, the printer, the mail, the hardware, and we have a bigger sheet than that. We just wanted to show you this particular one. And these numbers are real. So basically for the food for the month of November, December, January, February, and for the taxes, for the wares and the printers. So basically, this is just to give you an example. The totals, they come up here and they add up. And the beauty about this Excel or bookkeeping program, of course, you have the calculator that comes with it, so you don't need to do it by hand. And these are your total for each description that we have at the top for every month. So this is called bookkeeping, and this we encourage you to start doing this as soon as you open up your business. So first you start with your setup costs, so you keep that as well, because you're going to need it for your income tax if you do an income tax in your country. But if not, you still need your bookkeeping. To run a business, you need to know your numbers. Otherwise, you're not going to know why you're not making any money, and it's because you have not add your numbers. You don't know how much it's costing you to run that business. So this is basically an Excel sheet, as we say. It does not look like that when you have the Excel. It's full of lines and columns, but here we have just simply, as we said, done a PDF so that you can have a better idea what a bookkeeping sheet looks like. So we do encourage you to become a good bookkeeper, and it's much less expensive to do it yourself. And then this way you can follow up very closely to your own business. And that's very important. After all, this is God's business. This is a revenue sheet now, and we're looking at the statement balance of revenues and expenses. So once we have gathered together all our revenues with the receipt, in this case it's a charitable organization, we put all the donation, the classes, the books, and the work that we have done with the medical missionary work. And there are also some revenue that we have without receipt. We don't give receipt for those. So for a total that is indicated here, and this is not necessarily representative of any year in particular. We just wanted to put some numbers together for you to have a look at it. What is important is to have your bookkeeping done so that you can do what we call here a reconciliation. So these sheets here comes actually from the revenue that we have gathered during the year. And that includes the meals at the restaurant, the seminars that we have given. And also, when you look at the expenses, then you will know how much money you have really made, or if you're in the red. And because this corporation is charitable, it is absolutely forbidden with a charitable organization to be in the red. And it's the policy of Way of Life since 1982, and we have never been in the red. Because of this, I really believe that's why the Lord is blessing. We're not working with the millions of dollars, but we still have been able to pass this message for the Lord and being able to continue to work as long as the Lord permits. We are looking now at the expenses. And again, these costs are in Canadian dollars. And the principle of revenue and expense remain the same in other currencies. So if you look at the revenue, which we had on the other page, which was 74,221.36. Now the expense here is 48,577.36. So which means that we have here a profit of 25,644. However, these numbers are not necessarily drawn from any year in particular. We're just wanting to show you for the Better Living Training Center, this is what we had to encounter to pay all of these items here: annual summary, phone, printed material. Where do we get all these numbers? We got them from our Excel sheet from the bookkeeping. So once you have gathered all of your items or your description and month by month, then you do a reconciliation and this is what you get. And the same with the restaurant. Once you have done month by month, your license, your rent, your electricity, Wi-Fi, the produce that you have bought, the wares, the hardware, the stipends, and all of this will give you a total, which when added together gives you this amount. So in order, again, not to be in the red, you have to exceed with your revenues or at least break even. So as we said here, those numbers are not necessarily taken from any year in particular. We just gathered some numbers together and wanted to show you how important it is to work with your revenues and your expenses, and in order never to be in the red at the end of the year, because then basically, even though you're working for the Lord, you still want to be able to stay alive. And it's nice to finish a year and to start a year with no debts. And that's the purpose of serving the Lord and be a good steward. It's in learning that. And don't be too ambitious, especially for your first years. You don't want to make so much money and sell so much at the restaurant or do so much training at the Better Living Center, and you can't even accurately have an idea of your bookkeeping. This is very, very important. You're running a business for the Lord. Very important. We have come now to the overhead and markup, something that most people don't really know unless they have their own business. Overhead and markup are calculated to establish the cost of goods to be sold, and it's very important in order to remain in business. Overhead represents all the costs that you encounter to obtain the goods, whether it's transportation, time that it takes you to go and get it, or if there is a delivery cost also by mail if you use mail. And now we recommend 21% of overhead to be able to again cover for these costs. And then there is the markup, which is the profit made on the sale of goods, which we recommend to be 30% for the markup. How to calculate the cost of good to be sold? For example, here we're just going to use a natural remedy with a cost and a total. In this case, we're going to use a box of clay. The box cost us $5. So we're going to add an overhead of 21%, which will be, what you do is you multiply the $5 by the 21%, so it will give you $1.05. Now, the markup, which is 30%, so now you're going to multiply the 30% by the $6.05, so 5 plus $1.05 will give you $6.05, so your markup is on that $6.05, which will give you $1.82. You always round your numbers. So here we have a basic of overhead, $1.05, and now we have a markup of $1.82. So that means that the box that cost us $5, we will be selling it for $7.87. That's quite simple. So $5 plus $1.05 plus $1.82 will give me $7.87, which means that $1.05 plus $1.82 for a total of $2.87. This belongs to your business, so you can continue to purchase some more goods and being able to sell them, which means by the time you have covered your costs for this particular box, which cost you $5, now you have made $2.87 on it. Now you may decide to decrease or increase the overhead and the markup. Then what's going to happen is you decrease or increase, but when you decrease or increase that overhead and markup, this becomes your profit or your loss. So you have to be careful not to decrease it too much. Sometimes you may want to give a good deal to a friend, but at the end of the day, if you're selling it for $5, they might as well go themselves to your supplier and buy it there. You want to be able to make money, and it's not stealing because you have encountered already some expenses and you want to make sure to have a bit of a profit, which is not much, which is 30%. But after a while, if you sell, now the quantity is important. So if I get to sell, for example, 100 boxes of clay, so that means that at the end of the month, I will have done $287 on those 100 boxes of clay. So if I would have sold them for $5, then I would have made no overhead and no markup. So then it's not really being in business. So we hope that this is really understood. It's not complicated, whether it's $5 or $50 or $5,000, or if you want to talk about other currency, the percentage of overhead and markup remain constant. So basically, if you want to make sure to stay in business, you have to cover for your expenses. You have to make some extra money, some extra profit. And this is not against God's will for us to stay in business. We're not overcharging, and we're not definitely stealing, because we're definitely wanting to give a good service to the people as well. So this is basically what we had to show you for starting a business, and we definitely encourage you to take more classes and more programs. You can even go online, and if you're not sure, you can just go on YouTube. There is all kind of you can find there all kind of tutors that will show you these things. But these are really basic business, and many people do not know about overhead and markup, and that's where the secret of staying in business is found, in the overhead and the markup. Just be intelligent and start keeping your receipt, start doing your bookkeeping so you can do your reconciliation at the end of the year, and make sure that you sell your produce or your products with a bit of extra money so that you can stay in business. Work the cities, live in the country. Medical Ministry, page 305. We should be preparing working centers in rural districts or in the country from which to work the city. Agriculture is the ABC of industrial education. This is taken from Manuscript Release, Volume 2, page 74. If we will move forward with faith in God, He will fulfill His word to us. We have no time to lose, for wickedness in the cities is reaching a terrible pass. The night is coming in which no man can work.